That's a fact. He's a really nice guy. I've met him. But many Aucklanders think he's a bit of a twat.
This is Funder. When you subscribe, you learn how to turn knowledge into money. Buyers are cautious, sellers are patient, mortgage rates are dropping, listings remain high, Auckland is drifting, regional markets are uneven, the whole country is holding its breath and pretending nothing has shifted, even though everything has. This is not confidence, this is suspense, the kind that decides the next few years. So today we break the silence. Is the market stuck? Is it lifting? Has it found its floor? Or is a 2026 surprise already in motion? To cut through the noise, we have brought in someone who has lived through every cycle and knows exactly what turns a flat line into a surge. Professional property investor, Dave Whitburn. National values have been completely flat in this last reports that have come out. Is it a genuine flaw or is it simply a pause before the next movement?
These reports are pretty interesting only because they cover a short period of time there as well. If we actually take a look, we have risen from the peak. It's just that mostly we haven't seen heaps of growth that we'd love to see. We're still well off the peak. We're over 20% off the peak in the likes of Auckland. Wellington's more like 25% below the peak in late 2021. So it hasn't been a fun time, but things are turning around. Some of the unwinding from the flagrant over expenditure from the COVID times is taken a while to put through. The government's been putting through some policy levers to fix things up and to try to get ready to optimise growth. It's taken longer than we'd like, but some of that confidence is returning. It's a massive part in that there. We need to get the mindset right. So I think that we're in for a good year next year. However, the election next year has a few clouds looming over it as well. Some people are pretty freaked out, as I am, about Klaus Schwab potentially being the Minister of Finance.
Well, if we try to focus on some positives, looking at Auckland, the last 8 months have recorded consecutive months of declines, but you're excited about the Auckland market and talking about this new rail link.
I'm excited about the City Rail Link. I think it's going to be pretty huge. It's a multi-billion-dollar investment. It's taken a long time to get there, but gee whiz, it's exciting. It's going to slash the travel times there for those in the western suburbs and in West Auckland as well. We're going to see a lot more action around the stations. We're going to see the city move a lot quicker. None of this silly amateur third world stuff with the driver getting out at Newmarket Station and then trying to go to the other side of the train and then waiting for the line to be cleared and do that. No, there's a full rail loop, a full link doing that. It's opened up some really prime real estate too with some of these great centres that are now available. And I think we're going to be able to function really well as a world-class city. We're at 1.8 million people. It's exciting. I think this is going to be something that really helps stimulate Auckland's economy when combined with some of the policy levers and some of the business confidence just starting to come back as well. I do have some positive thoughts for next year. I don't think it'll be a boom, but I still think it's the recovery phase of the property cycle where we see some slow, steady growth.
Yep, the convention centre's finally opened. So with this rail link convention centre, rates have gone down. Hopefully Auckland can lift back up. Now, Hamilton and Tauranga showing small lifts at the moment.
Yeah.
Is this an early sign for regional centres getting some strength?
It is a little bit. Some of it's a little bit patchy in the commercial property scene. We've seen the migration from Tauranga CBD into Tauriko and Tauriko Business Estate. I think it's a fantastic development there. That's also great. But I mean, it's giving the population growth. It's got the infrastructure. It's got the employment. Those are fantastic factors going forward that I'm really excited about. Couple of areas there, a bit of oversupply in the Mokoroa further north, but some of the great works in the Minden Tapuna links with State Highway 2, that's pretty exciting in terms of the Tauranga Northern Link. That's a huge infrastructure project that the government's been and pressed to go on, and that's moving forward. So that's quite exciting for that area. Hamilton, well located as well, that golden triangle with Tauranga, Hamilton, Auckland's there, and I think we'll see some benefits up in north with Whangarei. True, that's another area for a lot of infrastructure expenditure. And already now in some of the other regions, we talked briefly just before about Queenstown, Wanaka. That's a little bit of a smaller region, but so it can come off the statistics are prone for a bit more volume, has a more higher swing effect there. So, but there's certainly quite a bit of activity there. They're advertising from tradies up there, and a few of those in Auckland and Wellington that have been doing it a bit tougher have been moving to Queenstown there as is a great place to live. Then you can stay in New Zealand instead of going to deal with all the Australians. So that's
no snakes in Queenstown.
No snakes in Queenstown there. I don't think there are too many sharks either, far less than in the Gold Coast too, which is a good thing. Christchurch is looking good. It's a beautiful city, and it's got some different drivers and a well diversified economy. So I think that's an area to take a look at, and I think that'll should perform above average next year as well.
Well, what is driving the investor market is probably more business confidence than the consumer side.
Yep.
You've had a little bit of experience lately running a business.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? And on the labor supply side of things, who's been applying for jobs?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't say what the business name is. However, I do work for some licensed insolvency practitioners as a consultant to them. Otherwise, I pick up work as an expert witness in property and construction files, do a bit of High Court and Court of Appeal work. There's some stress out there, Inland Revenue putting the hammer down on a few companies to do that, whether the shareholders take the reality check and put themselves in control and appoint their own liquidator, or wait for another to appoint them via the court. That's their call, but I have been doing that, getting a few employees. Had to do that through friends in one case, but otherwise we're seeing a bit of a gap. Some of the Kiwis that can work perhaps aren't working. That's a little bit frustrating for me. I've got a couple of tenants that are very good at Xbox or PlayStation, but potentially they've been signed off as not being able to work. Some GPs are a little bit, I guess, busy, and they don't want to give too much thought about someone that's got
not mentally fit to work is kind of code for an idiot and lazy, right? Sometimes.
On occasion, they've got to be a bit careful of that one, but in these two cases, my tenants freely admit that it's a bit naughty and they'd rather play Xbox and get a benefit and accommodation supplement to do that. So that's something there that's a decade-old policy feature. So what happens is that does flow into that. Sometimes you get coded as a sickness beneficiary if you get that's coded by a GP to do it, and that's certainly not giving a tip there. I don't think that anybody listening to Fund It's going to be in that space. That certainly sets a very low bar. But we do have to rely on the overseas market. So you might get those on student visas that can only work 25 hours per week doing it. Otherwise, other ones on the accredited employer work visa are ones that fill that gap. So that still is a big force there. Migration is interesting. The migration numbers are padded by a number of those on the student visa category. Many of them will go, but many of them still stay. So that's an interesting one. I think it's a good thing, migration. I'd like to see more of it, but it just requires a balance. If you push too far and the wrong types of people, you get those big problems like you're seeing in the United States of America, and probably even worse in the United Kingdom as well, those massive riots with sort of upwards of 1 million people going to protest there and unite the kingdom rallies and such like. So everything's about a balance. We're nothing like that over here, of course. But we do need a culture, and I think we need a mindset change in our country to ask what we can do more for our country rather than what the country can do for you. The entitlement mentality is something that really is starting to be a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a blight on society, and we need to change that, and that'll really help us to get back to where we were in 1990, ahead of Australia.
Most people treat their KiwiSaver the way they treat an old photo album. They know it exists, they know it matters, they never bother to open it. And that small act of neglect can cost them more than they realize. If you want clear, simple guidance on choosing the right provider and the right type of fund, you can talk to Wealth HQ without paying a cent. Maybe you like the thrill of crypto. Maybe you want nothing to do with investments that profit from conflict. Maybe you just want a sense of control over where your money goes. Wealth HQ strips the uncertainty out of the process. If you want to understand your options, then click the link below and it will take you there. You are still heavily involved in the property investment side, the associations. How are the conversations going there with regards to capital gains taxes and Coalition's move for capping the rates for councils?
Yep, absolutely involved in the Auckland Property Investors Association. Great place for property investors, as are all the regional property investors associations around the country. The capital gains tax, envy tax, it's a little bit of a problem there. If it's something there that's great to tax people that don't have it, the issue with it is it can cause a lot of flight of capital. You can deploy your capital in other jurisdictions relatively easily, and that might not be something that's people think that, oh yeah, if you're going to have tax there, it'll be all put into New Zealand businesses and put up things there. I love to tell you that's the case, but it's not. Some people there will get fed up with it, will choose to just put it in term deposits. Otherwise, they'll, which is relatively low production value, otherwise they'll go and move potentially with themselves to another place such as Australia, or they'll go and invest in, have a bit of fun in the NASDAQ and the US share market there, which has some great personal rewards as well. I'm not sure how much flow-on effect there will be to doing that. And then it's all very easy to tax other people there as well and to take money from them because it's not me. But what kind of government has ever lowered the taxes? GST started at 10%, then 12.5%, then 15%. Income tax, I believe, started around 4% there, and that's nudged up over time. And yeah, there are only some minor tinkering between the parties now in terms of this, what some call the neoliberal economy. So basically all these taxes that get put in, these get taken to do it there. I mean, trusts exempt. What if you rent out your home, have Airbnb or Booking.com or whatever as a short-term stay in at a home office in it? It's a nightmare. I mean, if I was a valuer, or if I in a past life worked as a tax accountant, then maybe I'd love it. I mean, roll my hands with glee because there'd be so many ways to have a bit of fun with doing that. But I think it's not the right thing to do. It's just not the Kiwi way, and it's proven itself to be an issue for Labour in previous elections in 2011, 2014, and Jacinda Ardern's famous captain's call for it. It's going to be a no-go, and I suspect that New Zealand First will actually block it, so it's going nowhere.
Yeah, well, to get a little bit geeky on the tax side, I saw IRDs looking to bring in changing the shareholder loan policy, converting them to dividends after a period of maybe 1 to 2 years. How do you think that's going to impact business confidence? Because New Zealand is a place of small business owners and trying to get tax advantages to put that money back into the economy.
It's a tough one. There are plenty of businesses, these SMEs, that have shareholder loans as well. So having deemed dividends could be relatively tough. So that's a policy that's going to need some careful
tax grab. Another tax grab.
But that is absolutely what it is. It's another tax grab. Don't love it, but the devil's in the detail there, and I do want to see that there. There are a couple of examples where I do have some sympathy for from a revenue perspective there, but in the majority there, I'm not a big fan of it. You also asked about capping the rates of rates increases. I'm just not sure about that. I think in general, many of the councils are a little bit ballooned in terms of the sizes of their staff as well. Many of them could actually embrace AI as well to actually shrink their workforces as well. We have grown them a lot there. I'm not too sure how many delegates we need to send to international sandcastle building competitions around the world. They're a bit of fun games, but just like when I was at Auckland University and campaigning for voluntary student membership, and the likes of Auckland University Students Association, their speedboat made that particularly easy for us to win that referendum. We need to be a little bit mindful about the quality of the expenditure. I'd like to see fewer potholes on the roads, more street lights, and probably quite a few less road cones and bumps there as well. The issue with this is keeping the core services there, which is bins there. So councils moves like trimming out bins there as well, and making some 90-year-old to mow their verge on their corner section that they've had for 60 years. That's not really the greatest way to cut expenditure. I think there are some better ways there to do it. I understand that Auckland Council is in the top 5 employers across the entire country. The wage bill's over $1 billion. That to me is per annum. That's to me is just a little bit of a worry there, because that's many multiples higher than what we spend on roading, and that doesn't make any sense. So Auckland Transport being a division of Auckland Council as well, so there's no fancy accounting or divisional accounting there. Just a little bit worried that we spend far more on staff than we do on the core services of roading and lighting. So I think we've got to take a really good look at ourselves, and I think a few people are a bit disappointed at Mayor Wayne Brown. He hasn't. He's talked a big game on doing that. He's made some changes, so I'll acknowledge that. But has he done enough? Probably not. And I think similar things are happening in other areas of the country.
Because the mayor is so weak in terms of what he can do,
Sure,
because of the voting powers of us.
Yep.
What I've seen him doing is calling on the government to bring about the changes that he can't, like getting rid of people on the street, changing things in terms of transport. And, if that's the the biggest hammer he's got in his toolbox,
Yeah.
and that he has to say, hey, Simeon, hey, Christopher Luxon, you've got to do it because I can't.
Absolutely, he's done that, and I think the Simeon Brown's one of the most popular MPs going around. He's doesn't live too far away from here. He's a very hardworking man. I think it's a really big portfolio being the minister for Auckland, and it's a city that has some challenges as well. And that's something that I think we've got to do. We've got to keep the place moving. Are we getting a bit better? Yes, we are, but do we need that sledgehammer of government legislation? Maybe. We've just got to be a bit careful of that, only because the last time that the National Party did that, was under Minister of Housing Chris Bishop's. Guys, he's trying to put in some planned changes with the MDRS, or Medium Density Residential Standards. The MDRS was a little bit of a concern because it meant that some people were a bit worried, because now we're going to have a nice big building right up against your house as a neighbour there. Whilst the Resource Management Act never prevented a right for a view, there's a lot of concerns about streets being blocked with cars parked both sides there, people parked 200 metres away and things like that. And National's vote shares dropped just below 35% there. Chris Bishop is not well liked in Auckland at all. That's a fact. He's a really nice guy. I've met him. But many Aucklanders think he's a bit of a twat. Why is that? Because he doesn't listen there. He's hit national tongue like Christine Fletcher, Troy Churton as well, one of the most successful local politicians we've had. Troy is a beast of a worker there. He's a really successful guy and strong politician. And unfortunately, his national aligned, of course. Christine Fletcher was a national cabinet minister before and MP for many years. But it's really brassed them off. And with their massive and powerful networks there as well, they're basically, they can't lose elections. They've got such a following there. Chris is really hurting National in Auckland, and that's a bit of a worry. Quite a few people know he's going to lose a seat there, and they're thinking, oh, maybe we just fight a bit harder to win a few more electorates, and then Bishop will be gone. Pretty toxic having him in Auckland, and National need to take a bit of a thought about that. Either rein him in, strip a few of his portfolios down rank him a little bit to send a message there to do it, which I think is really tough on the guy. But sometimes you just got to have a chat to the person and really put the right people in, and he's not that person. He could actually fail the election for National. It's that serious.
Yeah, appreciate your insights today, Dave. I look forward to seeing what you invest in 2026, and I'll be following along, happily learning as we go.
Cheers, Andrew. Always good having a chat there. Looking forward to future funded podcasts.
Most people treat their KiwiSaver the way they treat an old photo album. They know it exists, they know it matters, they never bother to open it. And that small act of neglect can cost them more than they realize. If you want clear, simple guidance on choosing the right provider and the right type of fund, you can talk to Wealth HQ without paying a cent. Maybe you like the thrill of crypto. Maybe you want nothing to do with investments that profit from conflict. Maybe you just want a sense of control over where your money goes. Wealth HQ strips the uncertainty out of the process. If you want to understand your options, then click the link below and it will take you there.